Joe's point of view.
Building back in the building. Today was a good show, man. We started the show off with I gotta adjust my mic because I'm too tall to be leaning. We started the show off with a little bit of a conversation about the JD versus Puff Daddy situation that's also coming on in September. So we was just reminiscing a little bit early in the show. But I said I had my guys that's coming in the building. I was gonna run that by y'all and see who y'all had in that battle. But anyway, before we get into that, we got
Lottie Da,
B-Wise,
B-Wise
a.k.a.
in the
M.A.D.
building. All right, and that represent Philly?
Philly and Jersey.
Philly and New Jersey. So
City.
that's up north, yeah. So up north, we still up north.
City,
right,
PSP.
that's right.
All right, so before we go, y'all gonna automatically pick Puff Daddy because y'all from up north, or y'all gonna go with Jermaine Dupri because he got some songs that y'all resonate with?
No, Puffy, it might be a little hard because a lot of Puffy artists ain't here no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Jermaine Dupri still, his artist is still around.
Here.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Good.
All right, so anyway, B-Wise, and my man Lottie Da, tell me a little bit about how'd you get to this point here, right where you are right now in the game. What are both of y'all artists first?
Yes.
No doubt.
So you've been rapping for your whole career,
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
straight rap.
Yeah.
Any producing?
Some co-producing, but that happened
Yeah.
inside the prison system.
Right. All right. We definitely gonna get into the prison system. That's gonna be one of the major topics that we're gonna get into in the segment. All right. So first of all, how'd you hook up with Champagne? Because Champagne is my girl for years. We go back like 8 tracks. So
Well, shout outs to Champagne, right?
No doubt.
I met Champagne back in 1994, 95 when I had Strictly Street Records.
Wow,
When it was
okay.
Strictly Street Records, I had just came home from Broadway State Prison after doing 10 and a half years, right?
all right.
So
You want to get into how you got in there, or was it something that you?
I used to play with them guns a
Oh,
lot.
okay.
You know what I mean? I was like, matter of fact, my life was like the movie Heat. So if you see
I just
Heat,
was talking about that goddamn Wayne Grove. Yeah, I know he. I know.
So if you seen Heat, then you know my life right there, right?
right.
The town, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was me. But anyway, so
And you came in here, you got a cast on, so I don't know if you just laid somebody out before you got here. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like,
I'm too old for the
Too old for that.
negativity, man. I
Okay.
try to keep it positive. You know what I mean?
I'm just poking fun at the cast. Hopefully it heals up and you.
Yeah. But so, okay. So I was in Broadway State Prison, right? I had 10 and a half years to 20. I had 8 and a half to 20, but I ended up doing 10 and a half years. So I came home, when I came home in 94, right? I met Champagne. She was working on the radio. She was doing radio then. Right? So she was doing promotion and marketing through the radio. So I met her, I got hooked up with her, and so I started letting her play my single on the radio. Back then I had Prison or Streets, right, as a single. You can find that on YouTube, the video on YouTube.
Right.
Prison or Streets, right? So it kind of like grew from there, you know what I'm saying? So but then I got knocked off again in 96, ended up in the feds, right? So then when I came home, I got in contact with Champagne again, right? And so we wakened this thing up and got it moving.
So you're a perfect person to ask this question. I was with my man the other day, Thadi, and he was asking, like, he wondered what it's like for people that have went into jail when Tokens was out and they came out with Metro cards is out, like, and now if you go in now, you come back out and now you just use your card, like you use your phone to do things. Mentally, I just want to know how was you able to adapt and readjust to
Do you know about that?
technology?
Yeah, well, Lottie Da, for far as myself, we met in Broadway State Prison in 1992. At that time, I was doing a life bid. I was sentenced to 30 years to life. So
Good to see. It's good to see you here. You ain't supposed to be here, man. You're like a ghost right now.
Exactly. Right now, because I was given 30 years of life, meaning I had to do 30 years before I was eligible for parole. Regardless of what I did, I could have saved somebody's life. I still had to do them 30 years inside that prison. And I actually got caught with a firearm. So
both of y'all
that was
had a lot of gunplay with y'all.
that was
Is
an
that how y'all
extra 10
bonded?
years.
Did y'all trauma bond? Oh, you got caught with one inside?
No.
Same color?
This is the crime.
This is what brought him in there.
I was fortunate that the judge ran it concurrent. Had he not ran it concurrent, if it was the sentence, because I had a 4-count indictment: felony murder, possession of a weapon, unlawful possession of a weapon, and something else. It escapes me. But the possession of a weapon, had he not ran that concurrent, meaning he ain't running together. If it had been consecutive, I'll still be in prison. Meaning that I would have had to have done 40 years in prison. But anyhow, yeah.
So did you do the 30 max?
I did 31 years, 3 months and 4 days in prison.
Good for you, brother.
Yeah, you know.
Well, how old was you? Like 16, 17?
I was 17 upon being arrested.
You look good. I'm like, yo, you did 30 joints and you're still looking like me right now.
Yeah,
like,
you know, it's a psychological warfare. You know, you take it one day at a time. Many people like, how did you survive that? And I've seen so many people lose their mind, end up on control meds, you know, kill themselves and, you know, things like that. Some people with natural life.
What got you through, though? Like,
one day at a time. I mean, it's a mixture of everything, you know. It's the faith, the belief, you know, I'm a Muslim. I had that family support. I didn't burn them bridges. That's key. And at the end of the day, I had to rely on me. I had to tell myself that regardless of what, I'm not going to let them break me.
yeah, you're going to make it through.
So I had to do it. Regardless of all that, I still had to rely on myself.
So this question I have for both you brothers, right? I feel like as I grew up in the Bronx and all of the drug dealers or whoever was outside doing what they doing, I feel like they knew more about the law. Like they knew what they can do and what they can get away with at a young age. To, you know, because they was under 25 when they was really doing it. And I'm 47 now, so we talking about 20-something years ago. Like to understand what's concurrent and blah, 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 and still to commit a crime and say, all right, if I do this and I get caught, I can still get off. And how did y'all, how can you figure out those loopholes and still want to, like, you know what's at stake, but you like, I'm still going to just do this anyway. Instead of just going on the other side and being a damn lawyer for somebody. Because I feel like y'all knew enough to be somebody's lawyer at that time.
Absolutely. It's really the opposite. You learn all of this. I learned all of this while in prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sitting in the courtroom and the average guy that walked the street, I don't care where you're from, New York, Bronx, Philly, Newark, whatever, we know that we can get locked up for selling the drugs, whatever he was doing, you know, robbery, you know, banks or whatever, firearms, whatever. I mean, we know that happened. We've know people that got murdered, killed, but still want to be in that game. But when it comes down to actually understanding the technical jargon and the understanding of the law, most of us don't know that. Majority of us don't know that. I know I didn't know that. So we sitting in the courtroom and you know the prosecutors with his jargon and stuff, like we don't understand that until once we get down in prison. And if you're fortunate, you know, to get in the law lab, I was fortunate to have the older brothers show me the blueprint and how to survive. Look, you know, man, you don't got no education. Get in that law library. Learn this, learn that. You learn is after the fact. So I mean, like now I was just explaining to somebody like what, like, for instance, felony murder is. You don't understand that. You don't understand what a felony murder is. You don't understand the penal code. Whereas, for instance, if a person is in the commence of a robbery, right, and there's two police officers chasing him, and that one police officer was firing at the suspect and accidentally kill his partner, and then his partner dies, who get that body? That individual who that fled, that suspect. People don't understand that. This is how the law works. You see, so majority of us don't know the technicalities or the jargons of what's going on, how these penal codes are set up.
You see, and you know what I mean, that's like when you go inside the prison system, right? You know, you can either be one of those who lift weights and play basketball all day, or you can be one of those who elevate yourself, you know what I mean, through knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? For me, right, I ain't know none of that stuff on the street, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't care about none of that stuff on the street. I knew one thing. Their job was to catch me. My job was to get away, right? So point blank, I signed on the dotted line. I ain't care, you know what I mean, which way it went, right? Because I was going to do what I was going to do. But that was just the hard-headedness in me. And you got a lot of them out there, you know what I mean, that's like that. But see what it is, like I always say, we don't never stay for the end of the movie. Right. When you stay for the end of the movie, you see that Scarface, you know what I mean, didn't make it at the end. You see that dude in Heat, he ain't make it at the end, right? So that's the point, you know what I mean? These guys reading their mail on the screen in ADX, maximum security, you know what I mean, federal penitentiary, right? So if you understood that the end of the movie, you're not going to be successful, then maybe you'll change your life. You'll change your, you know what I mean, your vibe.
You want to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned like the movie Scarface, and I reflect on while in prison watching a movie called Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence.
Like, they actually showed that to y'all in prison?
Oh well,
Yeah,
you
got
have
your TV
access.
stuff.
You have.
I know,
New
but that's just
Jersey.
ironic that out of
New
all
Jersey.
movies they would show Life.
No. I mean, we have like.
You selected it?
It was set up where it's like in New Jersey, Broadway. I can't, account for any other prison system,
Right.
whatever. But was able to like they were showing like Netflix and stuff like that. The cable system, as far as like the television, it's a whole thing about far as the account where they can afford that. They take the money out, and right now they have cable or network channels. It depends on what prison it is. But actually seeing the movie Life was like real to me. When you see Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy go inside there, and what happened? They was getting older and older and older. I went in prison with Peach Fuzz. I was coming up getting grayer, losing hair. So that was the movie stopped becoming funny at that point.
Right. It's real life.
It was some real this is
So-
me. I'm watching my life on screen.
So back to what B. Wise just said, and I just talked about this early on the show. So if y'all heard this interview, fast forward, rewind back, and listen to it. I actually said that they should make I might have said it off air behind the scenes, but in these movies, like there's a moral code. In Heat, Robert De Niro had a moral code that it didn't matter what happened, Range Rovers are going to get got. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the point of that movie. And they explained about if the heat comes around the corner early in the movie, he explained that whole thing. But you could see that beef superseded that. Same thing with Scarface. Like he sat there, got high, and then let them come blow. He could have got away. He had the gun to get away. He could have just stayed in the corner. Every time somebody came through the room door, he could have popped them off, and he would have had to sit there for a little while. But he would have got away.
Right.
But that's not how the director wanted it to end. They wanted.
But that ain't because that ain't the mindset.
Right.
You know what I mean? The mindset is the mindset of a G. You understand what I'm talking about? So that ain't the mindset. We soldiers, right? So we gonna fight to the end. But see, it's you loyal to a fault. You know what I mean? So you be so loyal to the streets, and the streets don't promise you nothing but death or prison. That's all it promises you, right? The facade is that, you got all the women you want to play with, you got all the money, all the clothes, all the jewels. That's the facade.
Yeah.
That's the facade part of it, right? But when that fade away, when it gets really real, right? And the police run down on you like, you want to do something to get away before ATF get there. That was our motto.
Right.
Get away before ATF get there. Once ATF get there, you done. So anyway, right? So when this happened and you end up facing court, that's why a lot of these dudes now they rats.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they ain't
the
built,
reality there.
they ain't built. These dudes not built like that. You know what I mean? This is a different era right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Me and La, this is a different era, right? This is an era where you took your licks, you stood up, stand 10 toes down. You know what I mean? You handled your business.
All right, so with the prison system, and we're not, anybody that's watching, I'm an educator now. I started teaching last year, middle
what it
school.
is.
So I did music as an entrepreneur for 23 years, and now I'm a middle school teacher. So I try to teach the little boys and girls when they go at each other saying little racist stuff, and I try to tell them like, yo, that's not life right now. And when you get to high school, it's not gonna be all that playing around. But I feel like black men are under attack right now, and the women, they come from this perspective, and I got two sides of the story. It was cool when your mothers or your aunts was getting money from the hustlers and getting funded to start businesses and all that. But now that the black men that took them licks is down, y'all looking like, what was the black men doing? I'm like, nah, it wasn't like that. They was outside trying to do what they could do. So how do y'all feel about the way society now? Because I know y'all hear those conversations on the internet, and people talking about the black man in the prison and this and that, but there's a rhyme and reason for it. You know what you had to do.
It's a saying, right? It's a saying that hard men make soft times, or hard men make easy times.
Mm-hmm.
But easy times make soft men. And soft men make hard times. Mm-hmm. You feel me? So this is where we at. It's hard times because we don't want our children to go through what we went through, coming up. You made all the mistakes, we did all the risk and all that. So we don't want them to go through that. So from them not having to go through that, they get spoiled. They don't know what the struggle is. They get spoiled, so they make hard times because they become soft.
Oh, right.
So they make hard times, and the hard times make soft men. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it's a cycle, right? But school used to be safe. Mm-hmm. You tell the kids go to school, stay out the streets. School ain't safe like that no more, right?
Kids is dying at a rapid rate.
And you mentioned black, young black boys, young black girls, right? They don't have the pride that they had back in the day. when we was coming up. They don't have that same pride now. They don't have that I'm black and I'm beautiful pride. Like they have you. Everything is sensitive now.
Right.
It's sensitive. Oh, you disrespect me.
Right.
Oh, you can't think like that. Oh, we gonna boycott you for this.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about?
It's a lot of policing and patrolling and coddling, and I just know I'm born in '75, so I'm right at the era where I understood what everything was. But when I hear these conversations, I just feel like I need to talk to more brothers like y'all that did the time, that came out, that's doing positive things now, so y'all can explain. Yeah, we did that, but it had to be done. Like what was the other options at that time? Like,
I mean,
well, it was options.
It was options. Let me say, I'm the youngest of 6. My sister, and I'm from Stellar White Projects. We call it PSP, Prince Street. That's like a famous strip. But she graduated college. You know, my father and all my childhood friends' fathers was. Not only do I know my father, I know their fathers.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, but. I don't know. Like, so how did you get caught up in this life, man, where you lost interest in school at the age of 12? Come on, man. I sit back as an adult and just think about that. Right. Now I'm running the streets, out all night, robbery sprees, breaking day and stuff. Like, how that happened when you have the presence of your father and your mother there? Yeah. How did you get attracted to these quote-unquote gangsters or these drug dealers or these stick-up boys? How did that happen? I just said stupidity.
So what you right? Because what you're saying, it really don't have nothing to do with having being in a 2-parent home. That's not a solid. It's just gonna be good if you do that. That's an argument that I like to raise too. Because both my parents dealt with crack, and they're both dead now. And me and my sisters got houses. I had a business. My other sister works for the One Police Plaza. So we're good, but there's different stories for everybody.
The generation today, because like coming in Broadway State Prison, I was part of the Lifers group, and we was talking to.
That's where you came up with the name Life.
Well,
that was already existed.
Oh, okay.
They already existed.
So that's an organization.
They started in 1976 with the Scared Straight program.
Okay.
You know, we came in after. That's the OGs. You know, before us. You know, like, but like.
Can I just ask you, what kind of crimes were they getting into in the 60s and the 50s? Like,
well, you had to have life to be in the Lifers group. So you had to have 20 years or better.
Well, what I'm saying is, after Jim Crow and all that, what kind of crimes were black men? It wasn't a lot of drugs. Crack and all that came out later. So what were they doing to get?
I remember it was gangs too back then, right? A lot of them had gang war bodies. You know what I mean? They had drug war bodies. It was a lot of that's going on, the same as going on today.
I met it was brothers that he was dealing with. He had connections with, like one of the brothers. He had connection with Nicky Barnes. He's from Jersey City. Mm-hmm. And he's still in prison today. You know, it was a lot of.
I interviewed Freeway Ricky Ross when he was inside.
Yeah.
I remember doing that. And it was like dope.
His name now is Fakadine. Right. But anyhow, you have brothers. Bank on robbers. These, black militant guys. You know that. You know the brothers Black from Panthers, the '60s. Yeah. You know from that militant, the New World Nation of Islam. Their whole thing was robbing banks. Their whole thing is like, you know, Europeans, what you did to our people. We gonna get that bank money is our money. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. This type of mentality, this Black Panther, this pro-black, mentality. When I was in prison as a young boy, 17, 18, these guys was in their late 20s, 30s, and older. These was the individuals that was in prison. Majority of them probably wasn't drug boys, but this was basically their crimes. Right. Yeah. You know, so that's what they was getting locked up. I mean, that's what it was. So
I was raised by, members of Black Mafia, Black Inc. out of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, they was my old heads. Right, so it's all, but you live the life you live for the life you choose. Right. So it's always that positive and that negative. You know what I'm saying? So which one you choose, it's on you. You got free will. Ain't nobody twist your arm. You know what I mean, and make you go over here. Right? They say you're a product of your environment. Right. Right. My environment is a product of me. Right. You know what I mean?
And that's only really is like, we could look at it as the entrapments that's set in our. It's basically an entrapment. Mm-hmm. Now we may not understand it, and we just walk into it, but we instinctively know what's right and wrong, what's good and bad. We know that, you know what I mean? And then it's just like the risk takers. I want to take this risk. Hit this way, the adrenaline coming at. It's like, it's like, damn, it's fascinating. This is fast money right here. I can get this fast money right here. It's a risk that you want to take. And sometimes it's like, that's what it is. And sometimes it's like those girls, like the bad boys, you know what I mean? So you want to be a bad boy.
Right.
You didn't want, back then, you didn't want to be no nerd. But look, check it out. All the nerds now, what they are. These guys is like, they don't, you understand what I'm saying? So it's a...
And they're non-selected either. The women still don't really want to be with them, but they'll marry them for the money.
Exactly. You see, but we call them nerds, but they really smart guys. They didn't allow themselves to get caught up in that, but like to be, and this is how the rites of passage was messed up. Me being young, seeing the guys come home from like in New Jersey, Jamesburg, Annandale, Bordentown. These are like correctional facilities. They come home and they have these exaggerated, clamorous stories about being in prison. So, this is what made manhood. Yeah. This is what the girls want to be. This is what all you other dudes respect. These dudes, they come home, their hand skills is up. Back then, everybody wasn't quick to pull a gun. So then you young, you don't know no better, or that's fascinating to you. Be like, this is the life I want, man. This fast, glamorous life is what you set yourself. We set ourselves right up.
Set up for failure. All right, so we got a good 5 minutes left. Let's talk about the music. Let's get into the music, and let's get into any foundations or movements that y'all are part of right now that we need to make sure that we push. Because I love this interview so far, and I love that now I connected with y'all brothers, so we can do a lot more. Because I'm connected with a program called Guns Down, Life Up in the city, in Lincoln Hospital. I'm connected with the school system, a black school, charter school, so I can bring brothers like y'all in to talk to the kids. And y'all do music. The kids love music. So let's talk about the music in the program.
Well, our music, X Gangsta is the movement. You know what I mean? So the X is in front of the gangster, not gangster. So we're not promoting gangsterism. We ain't promoting the streets.
And X is always just X. X can be whatever it is, whatever you want it to be.
Exactly. So that's the movement is X gangster. So instead of trying to sound like everybody else, beat wise, lyric wise, instead of trying to sound like everybody else, we're not trying to preach to you. We're just trying to tell you from our experiences what it was, what it is, what'll happen if you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's where we coming from with that.
All right. So what's the name of the project? Where could they find it?
X Gangsta. You can find that
everywhere.
Every
X
major
and then the word
media platform.
Well, it's Strictly Streets Entertainment.
Okay.
It's what you want to when you want to go to social media, search. Go to social media, and like he said, to just follow up with this understanding with like the ex gangster, because everybody want to be gangster, just like everybody want to be, everybody want to be that gangster, but nobody is saying, yo, I'm out of this lifestyle, because that so-called gangster lifestyle will end you either where in the cemetery or in the prison. Yeah. So we said ex gangster. We bold enough to say, you know what?
We ain't on that no more.
Accumulation of close to 40 years in prison. Accumulation of 30 years straight in prison. Yeah. We letting you know, like, bro, I don't care how hard you think you are, how hard or how big you may be. You don't want that type of lifestyle. And it is really not about somebody like sizing you up and that can knock, because anybody can get it. Biggie said what? Everybody bleeds, you know what I mean? Everybody bleeds, so it's not about this physical thing, it's about the psychological warfare. So like, from the littlest guy to the biggest guy, you end up in that cell, they break. You don't want to put yourself in them situations, so we exclaimed the gangsterism and said ex-gangster instead of OG ex-gangster. Yeah. Those who live that lifestyle, survive that lifestyle, and now living a life of 9 to 5. Doing something, like concrete, positive, and that's what ex-gangster is. It's not promoting the gangster lifestyle. This is why we call it ex-gangster, the movement.
You know what I mean? The movement.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Do you have anybody coming from Jersey, Philly, up north, any artist that you liking right now that you get into?
I was really feeling Pop Smoke, man. I was loving Pop Smoke, man.
What about Scarlett? What about the girl Scarlett?
I'm not familiar with her.
I'm not familiar with her.
All right, so
I'm not familiar with her, right?
But just go look up Scarlett. It's a song called something about New York, and she just goes hard. But I think y'all
Is
might.
that the dark skinned sister?
Yeah, she got the scar like on her lip.
I think I seen something on
Everybody's
Instagram.
getting behind her right now.
Yeah,
but-
I seen some on Instagram with her. Yeah, I like that horse.
About it now that you
I
see
like that
shit,
horse, though.
It's like listening to Onyx with her. With
Yeah,
her female, like,
I'm familiar with her. I'm familiar with her. I'm feeling her, yeah. But you know what I mean? Strictly, when you're looking for Strictly Streets Entertainment, right, it's STRICK.
okay.
TLY.
Got it.
Streets Entertainment, Facebook, right? Instagram, YouTube, all the iHeart, all the Apple Music, all the Spotify.
Can I catch you guys at any time? Like are you on social media? Where if I catch you on a FaceTime, we could do like a little pop-up interview.
Absolutely.
No
All right.
doubt.
So give out your Instagram so I can make sure that
Strictly
people follow
Streets Entertainment,
All
right, with the K,
All right.
or Strictly_Streets, or
Lottie Da 1967.50.
All right, perfect. So what I'm going to do, y'all look forward to, because these brothers, this is an ongoing thing. We're going to be doing a lot of conversations trying to get guys to go away from the drama and the violence and to learn things before they got to sit down and learn it, where you can't do nothing else.
Years afterwards. It's like it's kind of too late.
everybody don't wake up. Like, you know how they ask you, if you had it all to do again, would you do the same
Some
thing
people
again?
still gonna do
right?
Yeah, somebody don't want to wake up.
If I had it all to do again, I'm gonna do it the same way. You know why? Because if I had it all to do again, I'm not gonna have the knowledge that I have now not to do it again.
Right.
So I'm gonna make the same mistakes and be sitting here again 30 years later.
This is the true fact. But let's get. I did say I wanted to play that second song on the way out. So let's get
Streets.
into that joint, The Streets. And again, thank you, brothers, for coming through to the show.
Oh, we
And
appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And thank you for-
Let me say thank you to my sister Champagne. Thank you for sending these brothers through. This was a very
Champagne.
enlightening conversation, and I'm happy that they made it through the New York traffic. And we still did the full interview. So that's when it's love is love.
That's
all right?
right. Appreciate you.
No doubt.
I was raised in these streets, you was raised by these tweets. I was raised by gangsters and crooks, you was raised by Facebook.